Hi everybody, I'm Barbie and I'm always looking up. I'm so excited to ask a bunch of questions for Mr. Kaplan's student. Ivy asked, where is the moon?
So where is the moon? Well, it is 250,000 miles away, and it would take you 9 years to walk there.
Nobet asked, can you see the junk astronauts leave behind?
If you were to visit the moon, you would be able to find stuff that astronauts left behind, such as parts of their spacecraft. You'd also be able to find important equipment, such as stuff that measures moonquakes.
Bella asks, how many moons are in the solar system?
There are 181 moons in the solar system. About a third of them orbit Jupiter, about a third of them orbit Saturn, and the most distant one is called Dysnomia, and it orbits Eris every 14 days.
Ivy asks, is the moon a planet?
The moon is not a planet. In order to be a planet, you have to orbit only the sun. However, the moon orbits around the Earth, so it's not. This is also one of the reasons that Pluto is not a planet, because Pluto and one of its moons orbit each other.
David and Gavin asked, is Pluto a planet?
So the Pluto does orbit our sun, which is a star, but it is not a planet for other reasons.
Nobet asked, do you think Pluto should still be a planet? Why or not? And before scientists voted Pluto out, did any astronauts go to Pluto?
Not exactly. In fact, astronauts have not been to any of the other planets other than Earth, just because it's really hard to send people very far. But we did send a rover to Pluto just recently. This was in July 2015, and we got some of the best pictures of Pluto that have ever been taken. This was called the NASA's New Horizons mission, and it took one of my favorite pictures, which shows that Pluto has a little heart on its surface.
Bella asks, what's the name of the dwarf planets?
We know of 5 dwarf planets, and one of them is in the asteroid belt. That one's called Ceres. The other 4 are outside of Neptune's orbit, which include Pluto, Haumea, Makemake, and Eris.
Abby asked, when were the planets discovered?
Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn have been known for long, so they don't really have discoverers because they can be observed by naked eyes. Uranus was discovered in 1781, Neptune was in 1846, Pluto was in 1930.
Abby is wondering, how many planets are in space?
Right now we know of 3,447 planets outside our solar system, but there are definitely many more than that out there. It's really easy for us to find really big planets, but hard for us to find little planets. So most of the planets we know about are actually the big ones, like bigger than Jupiter.
David is wondering, were there other planets besides these ones?
There were probably other planets before the ones we know today in our solar system. These formed very early in our solar system. Some of them collided with each other, others went into the sun, and some even bumped out of the solar system. The moon might even be a result of the Earth and another planet about the size of Mars colliding.
David is wondering, how old are the planets?
So the planets, we should expect them to be about the same age as the sun, and this is what we predict. The sun we know to be about 4.5 billion years. Again, we should know that they're about the same age as the sun. Everything kind of formed together with a giant gas cloud. The separate bits became planets. So that's our best guess right now, about 4.5 billion years.
Nobet and Gavin asked, what is your favorite planet besides Earth?
Well, we took a vote actually, and looks like most people's favorite planet is Saturn. Apparently the rings make it cool, but I would choose Jupiter because it's the biggest.
Abby and Bella asked, is there water on any other planets, in particular Mars?
NASA's found evidence of flowing water on Mars, but actually we think that water exists inside of several moons in the solar system. That's good water. And one of those moons is called Enceladus, and it orbits Saturn. It's the sixth largest moon around Saturn, and it exhibits a property known as cryovolcanism, which is a fancy way of saying ice volcanoes. The Cassini spacecraft has actually seen about 100 geysers of water-rich plumes on Enceladus, and we actually think that there's a subsurface ocean.
Abby asks, won't we live on Mars one day?
NASA has plans to land people on Mars in the next 10 to 20 years. SpaceX has plans to make a settlement for 1 million people to live on Mars in the next 40 to 50 years.
Ella is wondering, does Jupiter have an invisible ring?
Jupiter does have rings, but they're more faint than invisible. Jupiter's rings are formed by meteors and comets hitting one of its many moons. Because they're fine dust instead of ice, they aren't as bright as Saturn's, but they are still there.
Gavin asks, how many planets have rings?
In our solar system, there are 4 planets that have rings: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
David wants to know, what is the least colorful planet?
The least colorful planet is probably Mercury, although that's a matter of opinion. But it's a planet that looks like the moon. It's basically the color of asphalt.
Ivy asks, what are black holes made of?
Black holes form when enough mass comes together, even to ridiculous degrees, to incredible densities, to the point where we call it a black hole. So if I get something so big that the speed is actually larger than light, I actually can't leave it. And so this is what we call a black hole.
Abby asks, how are black holes created?
Stellar mass black holes form when the center of a massive star collapses in upon itself. This collapse also causes a supernova, which blasts parts of the star into space.
Abby asks, where did the name black hole come from?
Princeton physicist John Wheeler came up with the term black hole in 1967. Before that, there was an idea of what a black hole was, but they called them dark stars or frozen stars. And I think we can all agree black hole sounds much cooler.
Homer wants to know, have you ever seen a black hole?
So I haven't seen a black hole directly. You can't see one directly because they don't emit any light. But you can see the effect black holes have on their environment or the space around them. So for the black hole in the center of our Milky Way, you can see how the black hole is affecting the orbits of stars. Or more recently, we saw gravitational waves, and those tell us that 2 black holes recently collided and tell us that the black hole is there.
Ella, Adby, Homer, and Sophie Ray asks, I'm not going crazy right now, but are there any aliens in space? So aliens does this?
The answer is maybe. We don't know, but we are looking and we are listening for alien life in our solar system and also outside of our solar system. For example, for about the past 20 years, we've had rovers on Mars looking for life, and as well as spacecraft looking at moons of Jupiter or Saturn to see if there's life there. Outside of our solar system, we are listening for alien broadcasts with radio telescopes, and as well, we have telescopes looking to see if there are any planets outside of our solar system that are habitable, or that could be places where life could thrive. So we haven't found anything yet, and we may never find anything, but it's one of the biggest questions a human can ever ask.
Homer wants to know, has there been any recent shooting stars?
Shooting stars are actually called meteors, and there are actually a lot of meteors that happen all the time, but most of them are pretty small. Every once in a while, there is a very big meteor or shooting star. Most recently, there was actually one that went over Wisconsin and lit up the sky brighter than the full moon, and it lasted for many seconds.
Ella is wondering, what are stars made of?
Stars are these crazy complicated balls of gas in space. However, what they're made of is actually really simple. They're nearly all hydrogen, then some helium, and a whole bunch of other bits. The way we get all of the other elements in our universe is from a process called fusion that happens inside stars, where helium atoms start to get clumped together to build bigger molecules and atoms that happen. So from hydrogen we can make some helium, and then we can make carbon and nitrogen and oxygen, all the way up to heavier elements, all the things that you have here on Earth.
Sophie Ray asks, can I have a picture of space?
Yeah, sure. Here's one. Here's another one. And we have a whole bunch.
Gavin asked, how big are the orbit and the whole solar system?
The Earth is 93 million miles from the Sun. It would take us over 3,500 years to walk there. Other planets range from Mercury, which is 36 million miles, to Neptune, which is 2,800 million miles from the Sun. The furthest we can go in our solar system that we know about is out to the Oort cloud, which is a big ball of comets and other debris, and that's about 200,000 times as far away from the Sun as Earth is, which means it's more like 20 trillion miles from the Sun.
Abby asks, is space endless?
That's actually a very good question because the Big Bang didn't happen at one point and expand. It happened everywhere, and space is just simply expanding.
Thanks for sending in your questions. Keep looking up. Bye.